Well, STD is over. And, I'll give it to them. Unlike Doctor Who, which has another season to go, who knows? Maybe there'll be another one after that. But at least STD had the dignity to die. so there is that. Although, yeah, there's going to be the Section 31 movie and then the Starfleet Academy spinoff with Tilly as the nanny and all the kids. It'll be like Facts of Life in Space. Something like that. So anyway, caught the last two episodes. The last one was Life Itself was the title, and the second Lagrange or I don't know. Who cares? The last one, basically they had to get the thing, but the Breen were going to get the thing, so the Breen got the thing, so they had to infiltrate the Breen ship to get the thing, and so there's all that. So they had a little something to do in that one. And to plan out the dangerous mission of disguising themselves as Breen, and wearing those suits, except the stupid business of showing their faces staring at the lights and stuff like Iron Man, Yeah. But anyway, all in all, and, it was for STD, I guess it was all right. I don't know. But anyway, they get the thing, and Maul goes through the portal. A couple of other Breen do too. And then Burnham is like, I gotta go too. So she goes into it, and Book's like, no. So there you go. And then the thing ends up in space and falling apart and all this stuff. And they're like, oh my God, but Burnham's in there. Well, she's not really in there. It's a portal to somewhere else. So then you get into the final episode. They got to try to get Burnham out of there. So Book's got to try, and the doctor joins him because has his new, I don't know, spidey sense that tells him. I think, oddly enough, what they're doing with the doctor is he's becoming spiritual and believing in a higher power, which I didn't really see coming, but it's there. I gotta hand him that. That's interesting, I guess. Not really, but for STD, it kind of is. So anyway, and then of course it's the final episode, so you got to have Saru show up for some reason. So he's going to show up as an ambassador to try to negotiate a peace with the Breen in the middle of a battle. It doesn't really go anywhere, but he's there, and that's all that matters. So, and his fiance is upset because, it's dangerous and stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, so Rayner gets to actually be a captain, and he does all right. The kids have got to figure things out, so it's amazing they survive it all. But then that was always the case with STD. Meanwhile, Burnham wakes up in the wonderland that the portal leads you to, and it's like an ongoing road or whatever, with windows to other worlds all over the place, and gravity doesn't quite work right, and all that type of stuff, And then she ends up falling into one of them. A couple of Breen fight with her. She figures out how to get back. And then Maul shows up, and they have a cat fight all over the place. And then they figure, we should work together. Oh, yeah. So then they work together for a little bit. And then they get into another cat fight. And Maul is able to kick Burnham into one of those windows and then follows her in. I don't know, just wanted to beat on her some more, I guess. Anyway, after that, hey, we should work together. And then they get to the thing, which is a little puzzle with triangles and stuff. And, of course, Maul wants to resurrect her dead boyfriend, and so she knocks Burnham out so that she can control the thing. And she puts the puzzle pieces together, and then it electrocutes her. So then Burnham wakes up because Book's on the way, manages to break through and, contact her on the communicator. And she's like, oh, Book, hang on. So then she runs over to save Maul from being electrocuted. And then Maul falls down and passes out. So then Burnham is like, wait a minute. I think I can solve this. Well, of course, she's Michael Burnham. So she puts the puzzle together, and then that activates the thing. And once again, her mind is sent into another virtual world that looks just like the one she's in, except one of the progenitors shows up and says, I've been waiting for you. And all this stuff is another, holographic message, more or less, although it says, oh, it's time doesn't exist here, so whatever. It doesn't matter. Long dead, but still there to tell Burnham all the secrets of the universe. And turns out the progenitors didn't make the thing. They don't know. They just found it. Who could have made it? Someone else. There must be some higher power out there. So that's the one big reveal. The other reveal, diversity. Yeah. Turns out there's a lot of different people in the universe. That's diversity. So anyway, all that trouble for that. And then the progenitor lady is telling Burnham, well, I'll teach you how to use this technology and stuff. And Burnham's like, no one should have that power. So she leaves, and they're going to hide the portal. And they get back to the ship. Rayner is able to use, they split the Discovery with the saucer section, separate and stuff, and activate the spore drive flipping thingy. But instead of flipping Discovery, it flips the Brain ship and sends them to the edge of the galaxy. It'll take them a couple of years to get back, but that's better than wiping them out, which is what they did to Rayner's people. So Rayner gets a little justice, I guess. I don't know. So everything's fine. Maul's upset because the technology, turns out, didn't have anything about resurrection in there. So her boyfriend's still laying dead on the floor in Wonderland. So turns out Cronenberg shows up and is going to recruit her to be one of his assassin spies and stuff. So that's cool. And then he reveals who he really is. Oh, didn't even realize it was a mystery or nothing. But turns out his real name is Agent Daniels. You might remember him from the Temporal Cold War character from Enterprise. So that's who he is. Just, much older. So, wow. But after that, the show is still not over. Saru has his wedding to Vulcan Girl, and then Book and Burnham run off to go bang, and they also go on another mission for Agent Daniels or something. And then we jump, I don't know, a couple of decades ahead, and Burnham's all old, living in a cabin with Book, and they have a son who's fully grown, and he's about to become a captain of a starship. Isn't that nice? And so Burnham hops a shuttle flight with her son, and they have mom and son talk, and then she goes back to Discovery, which has just been sitting in mothballs, and decided to take it out and leave it in space somewhere, where she said, oh, I keep forgetting Zora is their ship's computer, which is sentient now, but then they're going to abandon it. I don't know. Anyway, she tells Zora, yeah, you're going to sit out there. And then she says, to do what? To wait. For what? Ooh. And then that's it. But they dragged it out. They had this long goodbye, as if everyone really wanted to say goodbye to these characters, which they do, but not really feeling it or anything. So, and finally it's over, and that's it. So, boy, a lot of damage was done by this show, by the people behind it, of course. And then the spinoffs and whatnot were terrible, and just awful stuff that would just rip off other properties, and because they really couldn't come up with any good sci-fi concepts, so they had to steal them. But even in stealing them, they couldn't execute it right. It was just terrible. Below CW level dialogue and all that, and it just killed it, and this one, which was just, it ended the way it always was. Each season was just one episode, whereas this plot, they stole top to bottom from the Next Generation, which, is just one episode, or maybe it was two. I keep forgetting. I'll find out in my review of that. But, but nevertheless, Not 10 episodes, and it ends the same. You meet with the projection of the progenitor, and you get some little lesson, although it was much better. It just gave an explanation for the overall Star Trek lore of why everyone looks humanoid. Well, they're all related, so that was that. So okay, it kind of fits in. Here it's nothing. It's just nothing. So, but that's how it was. The thing that they finally find with the triangles and stuff, it wasn't red. So that was unexpected. But then again, the mission itself was called Red Directive. So everything has to be red at the center of Secret Hideout Star Trek. Yeah. I don't know. Because even in, the Picard season 3, the red door was the big supposed mystery and all that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about the color red. But anyway, that's it. And the purpose of this is so they can sell the company and say, look what we got. We've got all these properties. So they got to keep pooping out some kind of Trek thing. And so that's Strange Academy and Section 31. And then there's supposed to be a movie again, which the premise of which sounds horrible. Another prequel. And yet it would be so simple. You just do a Star Trek show and just forget all this other crap. It's a starship. They're exploring the space, and you got a crew and all that. And every now and then they would hit on things like Anson Mount as Pike, although he could be a good leading man character as any captain of a ship. They screwed that up. They turned him into a cook. You had that asshole captain from Picard season 3. They killed him. But there was an interesting dynamic if you did a new series with him as the asshole with the heart of gold. And then even with 7 of 9 as his number 1 or what have you. And, they don't get along, but ultimately there's a begrudging respect between them because they're both doing the right thing. And it's an interesting a dynamic, rather. It works that way. And that could have been an interesting thing to play out. They kind of teased that was the case for Rayner, but I'm like, why is Rayner even there? I guess because Doug Jones just didn't want to be in that makeup for that long. So he basically becomes a cameo character for the series. Maybe that was it. But that guy, you could have crafted an interesting character out of that. But it's only anything that's positive and stuff is basically an accident and ultimately a waste on that. So in some instances, it's so pathetic that I almost feel sorry for it. But the damage done to the Star Trek brand is just awful. And also the money they managed to swindle out of Netflix initially and stuff to get it funded. To see a sci-fi show with that amount of money spent on it and nothing to show for it, no story, no intention of honoring the Star Trek lore and what have you and all that sort of stuff, is always going to stick in the craw, because that in and of itself of what they squandered and the money just literally flushed down the toilet, it's unforgivable in a lot of ways. So but anyway, that's it for STD, and good riddance.